Hi, I'm Donna Miller. Welcome back to my kitchen. I want to share some tips with you today on stretching your food dollars by using beans to extend as a meat substitute. Now, yeah, I know that seems kind of weird to some people, but beans are high in fiber, they have protein, and if you're not a vegetarian, you can at least add them to your meat to bring in some low fat, high protein, high fiber fillers that you'll barely even notice. One thing you need to do when you first learn to work with beans is kind of how to use them. Let me give you some ideas of what you can use them in. You can use lentils, which that's what these are. These have been soaking. You can use lentils that when they're cooked and put them in with some browned ground beef and use them to extend lasagna sauce or toppings for tacos or different, whatever you'd use ground beef in. You can use a combination of lentils and ground beef. If you're vegetarian, obviously you can use just the lentils with some seasonings to make them taste like that. You can use a mixed bunch of beans for minestrone, and that's wonderful to throw in and use a lot of leftovers from your freezer soup, which you should check that video out. It's over there somewhere. Also, you can make navy and potato bean soup, which is really one of my son's favorites. It's really good on the cool winter evenings, nice and creamy. Also, you can use chickpeas, which I don't have them out right now. Chickpeas for hummus, or throwing chickpeas in on a salad to add a little extra fiber and protein. And my personal favorite, we've eaten a lot of these in my day when we've been scraping the bottom of the barrel for groceries, pinto beans. Pinto beans are, I don't have them out, but pinto beans are one of our staples at our house. We eat them put in with taco meat for tacos, or we'll mash them up as refried taco beans with a little bit of sour cream, or just eat them plain with some fried potato squares and a little ketchup. They're really good, and they're great fillers and very high in fiber and low in fat if you cook them right, without fat. Alright, what I want to do is show you real quick what you can do with the beans and how to work with them. The very first thing you want to do is soak your beans. You need to do that. Now, of course, I'm working with dry beans, saving them in one of those nice big buckets like I showed in one of my other videos. You want to soak your dry beans at least 1, potentially 2 days, and rinse them once in between each day. Now, these are lentils that I've soaked. This has only been overnight. They started out as only half beans and half water. Obviously, you can see the water has filled them up. They've swollen up really nicely. These are some kidney beans that I just started really this morning. They were about halfway. You can see they're starting to crack and get some water in there. They're getting easy to cook. So this way they're not going to be tough. You're not going to run your pot on the stove or your crock pot for 3 days trying to get them nice and soft. You don't have to worry about a pressure cooker if you just kind of soak a few out. Now, the one thing you do want to do is make it easy to grab them. You know, you want to be thinking 6 days ahead to soak the stupid beans. So I've come up with a really good plan that makes them easy to use. You're soaking them a couple days just because you can. You come in and out. You don't have to wash them. Just soak them, rinse them, soak them, rinse them a couple times. The best thing you can do when you rinse them is not pour it into a colander straight like this. Why? Because you're going to be scraping this big mass of beans back into a tiny hole. Got a great foolproof plan for straining your beans. Pretend that's a sink. Now all I've got to do is fill that back up again, and I will soak them twice and rinse them once. After I've done that for a couple of days, what I like to do then is pour them out on a little paper towel, let them get just a little bit dry, and then do what I did here with the minestrone and the 7 beans, is put them in the freezer, and I'll let them get just a little bit dry. They're still full of water. When I put them in the freezer, the water crystals are going to expand. That's what ice does. It's going to expand. It's going to bust those beans just a little bit more and make them cook even faster. Now, these are still raw. They haven't been cooked. There's been no heat. It's going to take very little heat, very little cook time, because the crystals inside have already started to break down the body of the bean. Did the same thing with my chickpeas, or garbanzo beans. Now these, obviously, I can cook and make hummus, or right now I can take a handful of them out, let them thaw, and they are ready to eat right on a salad just like this. They're raw that way. They only soaked for 2 days. I did the drain and rinse method, and they were good to go. Now, those are in my freezer so that I don't even really have to think 2 days ahead of time. I just kind of do them and stock them. One of the best things you can do when you're working with beans is remember, you know the little poem, beans, beans are good for the heart, or the beans, beans, the magic flute. The truth is there's a way to get around the gaseous problem. All you have to do is in the middle of cooking them, drain them once and put in new water. So what you do the first time, maybe if you put them in the crock pot in the morning about noon or an hour or two before you're actually going to eat them, drain them out, don't bother seasoning them, and the second round go ahead and season them with all your sauces and your salts and your garlic or whatever you're going to put in there. And I guarantee you're not going to have even half the problem with the magic flute, as people would say. Beans are wonderful for stretching your meat. They're wonderful for stretching your budget. They don't cost a lot. They store forever as long as you have the right container. And they're just very economical for helping you get through some lean times. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please send us some tips. If you've got any ideas or things for beans or any of these other topics on stretching your food dollars, please be sure to leave us a comment.